Hello, digital artists. In this video, we are going to talk about the monochromatic atmospheric perspective landscape project. So this project is going to be influenced by the photographer Ansel Adams, who's known for these landscape photographs that have super sharp focus and tonal range. Tonal range meaning that it has pure whites, pure blacks, and all of the tones in between. So here's an example of his artwork, and this is the one I'm going to use to show my atmospheric landscape because this artwork already shows some atmospheric perspective, which is the effect that the atmosphere, things like moisture, pollution, have on objects when they're viewed from a distance. So that means that as something gets further away, like these mountains, they're less visible, they're paler, they're a lighter color or value. And things that are closer, like the lake and these trees and the grass, because those objects are closer, they're going to be richer, darker color or darker value. What are the key features in a landscape? What's going to make this landscape a strong composition? It's going to have three key features. It's going to show the foreground, which are the things that are closest to us, the middle ground, which are showing some distance, and the background, things that are further away, including the sky. So in our artwork today, we are going to do 6 steps to complete this project. So the steps are to first find a strong compositional landscape as your reference. You can use insert image, search the web to find an image, or you can use Google Images to find your image. So you can go insert image, search the web, and type in landscape, and start to look for a strong compositional landscape. Even right away, this one really pops out, but I'm already have my heart set on using this Ansel Adams one. Some of these are really awesome that you can use that are going to have a strong composition. This one is pretty basic because it has the foreground, the middle ground, the background, and the sky as separate layers. So this one is even already looking kind of like how our project is going to look like when it's all done. I'm going to actually insert this just to see what it looks like. All right, so you can see this image right here. I'm going to actually add this to the file so that you could use this as a reference. Is a strong compositional landscape because you can see the atmospheric perspective. These rows that are closer of trees are darker. And then as things get further away, they get lighter in value. And the lightest value, if you squint your eyes and look at the picture, the sky is the lightest value, then these mountains, and they look like they're layered on top of each other. So I'm going to leave that right there because it's a good reference of what our artwork might look like when it's all done. So we are going to use this image. I'm just going to use this image. And then we're going to create a monochromatic value scale. You can use the value scales that are down here, or you can create a new one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this image, and I'm going to stretch it out so that it fills up my entire canvas. I might stretch it out just a little bit like that so it really fits. And then we're going to make a monochromatic value scale. There's one that's black, blue, and pink already in this composition, but let's make one that's green. So if you look at this down here, there are little squares, and we're going to use the fill color tool, and we're going to make some custom colors. You could use the row vertically, the column right here, to make a value scale, or you could use a gray scale for your monochromatic value. But what I want to do for this is I'm going to use these little squares to create my monochromatic value scale. So one way I can do it is just by clicking through, making sure I'm choosing from the same row, the same column going up. I think I might have skipped a color here. I did something weird here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I did something wrong there. This first one is supposed to be black. Let's make that one black. There we go. Now it's looking like a monochromatic value scale. It's going from black all the way to a light value. Let's make one more, and let's use the custom color tools. So I'm going to start with the darkest color, and I'm going to click custom. And then I'm going to decide, I already have blue, pink, green. Let's do with orange. So I'm going to set my slider up to the hue that I want to use. If you don't like that hue, you can use there's so many different choices. I'm going to use orange. So right in between, right there. I'm going to start making the darkest value first. So I could go all the way to the corner, but for this, I'm going to just come a little bit up. I'm going to click OK. Then I'm going to come over to the next color, and I'm going to start here, and then I'm going to go back and start to drag it diagonally up. I'm going to click OK, come over to the slider, choose that last color, click the plus, move it up, click OK. Click the next square, go to that color, click the plus, start to drag it diagonally up. Click OK, fill color, choose the last color, choose the plus, diagonally up. Click OK, choose the next square, choose the last color, choose the plus, diagonally up. OK, last square, choose the last color, choose the plus, diagonally up. So now I have the sepia tones, these brownish, orangish, warm tones that I could use for my landscape. So I could use those custom colors, or I can make my own. So that was how I created two different ways to get those monochromatic value scales, by either using the custom color tool or using the fill color tool. Now we want to start to create the landscape, and I'm going to do all of this with Polyline tool. So step number 3 is create and color the landscape using the Polyline tool. So for this, I'm going to work from the darkest shades to the lightest shades. So the darkest shade should be in the foreground, the things up close, and in my artwork, I can see in my artwork, I'm going to start from the bottom. The darkest section of my landscape is like this, coming across. Kind of just like a rectangle. And if I want to fill it in as I work, I can do that too. One of the things that I noticed is that there's this tree, and that might be really hard to create. So I'm going to go Insert, Image, search the web. I'm going to type in Fairground Tree PNG. So I can try to find a dark brown tree that I could use for in my artwork. I'm just going to take this one. All right, and then I'm going to Format Options, Adjustments, and I can change the brightness. I want to try and match it to my dark value so that I can have this tree in my artwork. And if I want to recolor it, I could choose sepia. So that's what I'm going to do, because I want to have a tree that is dark. And I can just put that here, shrink it down. And I'll save that for later so that I can add some of these trees into my artwork, and I can just play with the coloring. Then I want to start tracing in elements of my foreground. So my foreground is going to have a couple of different layers. It's going to have the midtones. So the colors should be midtones in the middle ground. And I'm just going to create those shapes with the Polyline tool. I'm going to use the zoom and Polyline. I'm going to start off creating the ground. And then this is in front, so I'm going to use Control down arrow to get it behind. And then I can change the color to my second value. If I'm not ready to put this there yet, because I might want to trace some of these trees and make them that same value. So what I'll do is I'll go back to Polyline, and I'll be able to go and make some of these trees. I don't like that. You know what we'll do? I know what we'll do. We'll create the trees as their own section. because I'm looking at how many trees there are and I'm like, wow, that'll be really hard and take a long time to trace all those details. So let's make it easy on ourselves. Let's work smarter, not harder. Right? All right. Let's make this one our third value. And then let's bring this back up. Like this. All right. And then we have these mountain ranges behind. So what I think I'll do is I'll focus on this mountain that's closer and then the ones that are behind it. So polyline tool. Change it to that fourth color, 1, 2, 3, 4. Down arrow. Next part of the mountain. Oops, that didn't come out right. Got to do it right. Change it to that next value. Oh my, why is that behind everything? There we go. Polyline. Again, let's make these mountains. Over here. You know, there is this section of trees here, and I want to get that in. What value should that be? Maybe I need to add a new value. Oops. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom out. And I know that other piece is hanging out behind here, so I'm going to try and move that over and line it up. There we go. So here's my composition, and if I want to use this tree in my foreground to oomph it up, or in my background, I'll take this and then I will use the format options again to make some adjustments to it to make it lighter. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just play with these little settings here. I'm also going to make it a little bit smaller because it is far away. And since this is my reference image, I can either delete it or just shrink it down and leave it there. So step number 3 was to create and color the landscape. Use the polyline tool and use your values. So you want to make sure that you have dark shades, midtones, and light tints. We have that. The only thing that we need to do is add a background. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to alternate click, choose background, and then I'm going to add a custom gradient for the background. I could use this one, but maybe I don't like that. I can always go to background custom and I can play with the settings here so I can make it using those tones that I used. So maybe I want to use this tone and make it go with this one being the lightest and click OK. If I don't think that that's good enough, I can always do the background custom and come in and make this one darker so that it has a little bit more range to it. I think this tree could be a little bit taller like that. And the last thing I want to do is I'm going to select everything by clicking and dragging, and I'm going to take, it doesn't let you do it when you have all of that stuff. So let's just try and select over here and get those shapes. Turn the border to transparent. I want to click on that shape, turn the border to transparent. So now I have this nice, even artwork with all of those colors. And now that I'm looking at it, I don't like these trees, so I'm deleting them. I think that's a little bit of overkill. We have this one really nice tree that's kind of adding to the composition, showing how dark it is. So I'm going to just leave that there. And with that being said, this is pretty much done. So, oh, I noticed one shape that doesn't have the background to transparent. There we go. So, double checking our steps. Step number 3 was using the polyline tool. We have our different colors and our monochromatic values. Then the finishing touches. We adjusted our layers using control up and down arrow key. Now we didn't arrange it as a group. That is what we need to do. So I'm going to select everything. Not the text box though. That's unnecessary. Then I'll use arrange group. That way everything is stuck together. And if I need to arrange it in my composition, if I want to change my canvas size, I can just, stretch these things out if I need to, because they're all stuck together. If I want to make it like that, make sure that my pieces will all go off and extend off the edge that way. And I go to print this out or save it, everything's going to fit on that background. Another thing I can do if I want to make any last touches, it's time to do it now. So step number 4, we adjusted our layers. We selected and arranged everything as a group. We moved our reference image and we added a background or a sky color. Now it's time to sign it. So insert word art, type in your name and the year. You can put a space. Then you'll choose a font. Don't leave it in Arial. That is so boring. No boring fonts. We're not basic. I'm going to choose this one and I'll use fill colors, border color, and I can put it down here, shrink it down. And if I think that that's too bright, popping up too much, there we go. And that's my signature. Now I'm ready to do the artist statement and turn it in.